Hey, good morning, YouTubers. Thanks for joining me on Let's Go Fishing with Paul. Just finishing a short hike through some woods. Getting ready to fish a nice little pond back here. You can barely make it out through the woods. Nice, beautiful mid-March day here in North Carolina. On a nice warming trend. It's going to be in the mid or upper 70s today. So that means the bass spawn should be popping. So I'm going to give it a try at this pond back here. But before I get started, I was going to give you 5 tips that I'm going to use today and that I use every day when I do this type of fishing. And these tips, I guarantee you, will help you catch more bass. Okay guys, tip number 1, when I go fishing in smaller waters such as ponds and creeks, streams, things like that, one thing I do is I downsize my baits. Okay, what I want to do is I want to try and match the hatch. I want to try to use baits that fit in with the water I'm fishing. Okay, well, what does that mean? So for this little pond back here, okay, I'm going to use baits that I think the fish are going to be comfortable seeing. Don't want to use really big baits, don't want to use really bright, loud baits. They're just out of place in this environment. So let me give you some examples. Here's a bait I will use quite often. It's a small spinner bait. Compare it to full-size spinner bait. I will use a full-size spinner bait in ponds sometimes, but more often I'm going to pick up the little one. It just fits better. This is a jig, but it's a smaller jig. You know, it's not a 3/4 ounce flipping jig that you're going to use at a reservoir or something. Another example, a nice little Rogue. It might work in here. I mean, it would work okay. But if you want to catch more fish, you're going to catch more fish when you use something like these floating Rapalas. Those, when you come out here and you look and see what swims around in the water, this is what the bass are used to seeing. They don't really eat stuff like this as much, I don't think. Will it work? Sure. But these will catch more fish and they will still catch the big fish. You don't have to use a huge bait to catch big fish. Okay, I bought a Whopper Popper last year. I haven't used it yet, but I bought the smaller version for pond fishing. Strike King red-eyed shad, small version, small square bill crankbait, soft plastics. Okay, here's a big old purple Strike King rage tail worm. Will it work in this pond? Maybe. Probably catch a fish. But will you catch a lot of fish? I don't think so, because I don't think it's what the bass are looking for. Cinco, it'll catch them. Might be better if you go with the smaller version. But what I tend to use more and have a lot of success with are these smaller finesse trick worms, small paddle tails, and in the springtime, these lizards are killer. So downsize your baits if you want to catch more fish. Second tip for you is choose natural colors. Okay, when you choose a lure, you want to pick something that looks right. You want to try and match the hatch. Can I come out here and throw a bubblegum worm, a pink worm, and catch fish? Yep. Is it the best option? There's a lot of days where that might be the absolute best thing you can throw, but the majority of the time the fish are going to bite more often on natural colored baits. So that's why these are natural colored baits. Okay, they look right, they fit in. Okay, I'm not going to toss this big old purple sparkly thing in here. It just isn't the right thing to do. These are a little bit brighter. Okay, I'll probably throw this one in more muddy, dingy water. Top water bait, you're getting more of a reaction bait, and they're looking at the bottom anyways. Top's real bright, but really what are the fish going to be seeing? The bottom, and it's clear. Okay, natural shad pattern over here. Will I throw this bright spinnerbait? I will, if the conditions are right. Muddy water, okay, when you really need them to be able to see it. But 90% of the time, I'm gonna go with this shad minnow looking bait. That's the right thing to do. Okay, next, after choosing natural colors, you want to downsize your gear. All right, so I've come out today, I'm using this setup right here. Okay, this is a Shimano 6'6" medium powered rod with a Symetra 1500 fishing reel, and probably the most important thing is choosing the right size line. Okay, this is 8-pound Trilene XL clear blue fluorescent. Okay, you want to pick your rod and reel to match the bait you're going to throw. I'm throwing smaller baits. I don't want to come out here with a 7-foot flipping pole with 50-pound braid. Line is important. Okay, you want to use the absolute lightest line you can get by with. I would be happy if I could use 6-pound test out here, but my experience has shown 6 is a little bit too light. I tend to lose a few fish. So I've started using 8-pound test. And the key thing you want to do when you choose what pole you're going to use for your fishing is choose the absolute lightest pole and line you can get away with, because your baits will appear more natural. Okay, if I was using 6-pound test instead of 8-pound test, my baits would appear more natural in the water because there's less resistance and there's less line for the fish to see. But I'm using 8-pound because I need to upsize a little bit for the type of fishing I'm doing. Okay, YouTubers, you can see I'm coming up on the pond now. Going to give you my 4th tip. Very important tip. Fish like a ninja. Fish like a ninja. What do I mean by when I say fish like a ninja? You don't want the fish to know you're there. Okay, so you have to take steps to hide yourself from the fish. You can see what I'm wearing today. Okay, I'm not wearing a bright red shirt. I'm not wearing orange. I'm not wearing bright colors. I always make sure I'm wearing muted colors to kind of blend in with the surrounding. Sometimes I'll even wear camouflage. You don't have to come out here like you're hunting turkeys, but you don't want to come out here in a bright orange shirt either, because as soon as I walk up there could be some bass, and very likely is some bass not too far off from the shore. And when I walk up there, those bright colors are going to get their attention. Also, when you go fishing in a pond like this, you need to... Ooh, something big just splashed. You have to walk quietly and carefully and slowly. No quick movements, okay? When I walk... Okay, this is how I walk. And you might be like, that's pretty silly. Why you gotta walk like that? Well, fish have this thing called a lateral line that can sense vibrations. They can hear sounds, but they can sense vibrations with that lateral line. And if you march up to a pond, stomping your feet, okay, that will actually transmit vibrations into the water. It might not be much, but it's enough to alert those fish to be on alert and say, hey, there might be something I need to be worried about. Okay, when you cast, you want to have slow cast. You don't want to be whipping it around, making lots of movements. Okay, that's going to catch their eye as well. Okay, you want to be a ninja. You don't want the fish to know you're there. Sneak up on it, fish quietly. When you throw your bait in the water, you want the bait to make as little splash as you possibly can. Okay, you don't want to chuck a big old huge thing in there and go, okay, that will alert the fish. What is that? What is that? Now, is it a problem all the time? No, sometimes that, you know, big splash, you got an aggressive bass and he'll come over and just smash it. But you don't know if that's going to be the case. But if you land it in there real quiet, then a bass will still sense that small lure entering the water, sense those vibrations, and still come over to investigate. So fish like a ninja. Don't let the fish know you're there, and you'll catch more fish. Well, my fifth and final tip for you guys, stay mobile. Okay, if you enjoyed watching me fish today, you saw I brought one fishing pole, I brought a backpack. Backpack lets me keep all my hands free. I'm not constantly having to move my tackle box off the ground or keep up with stuff. I'm just constantly moving, looking for fish, staying mobile, staying ninja, and had a pretty good day fishing. So thanks for joining me.